Hi, it's Dr. Parikh, and this is about weekly participation. So weekly participation, first we have 15 weeks, including finals week, and the lowest 3 grades will get dropped. So there's going to be a total of 12 weeks available for participation. I've tried to make it as flexible as possible. The way participation is going to work, it's always going to start with the discussion board. Each week, so the first week you just have to do your introduction, and I think I technically have that set to be due the Monday of the second week, just because our first day is on a Wednesday. So the first week there's nothing, and the second week there's 3 things, but normally there's 2 things each week. So you'll start by doing the 2 assignments for that week, and you'll make your initial post. That's the first half of your participation. So participation is 20 points total. Each discussion board post, your first one is worth 5, and then your responses, if you have at least 2 responses, that's your other 5. Sorry, I'm muddling things a bit already. So each discussion board is worth 10 points, and full credit for the week is 20 points. So everyone is required for those first, for half of this points, you have to make those 2 initial posts. If you just make 1, you still get those 5 points, but you don't get the other board's points. So everybody does an initial post, and that's really just to kind of show that you've thought through the issue, and to kind of put pen to paper, or fingers to keys, however you want to describe it. So that's due Monday. And then within the next, I try to keep things a little vague within the next 4 days, so that would give you until, Thursday, maybe Friday. You read all of your peers' responses, and you respond to at least 2 of them, and you get 5 more points. Or you come to the class discussion on Wednesday, and you actively participate, and then you get points for that. I know this is a little vague. It's confusing. I apologize that it's confusing. It is the best system I can think of. If you see someone else with a better system or think of a better system, I'm all ears. But I want to make it flexible, and that means that it's, when I give lots of options, that means it's going to get a little confusing. Because, if I say you have to do this, that's pretty clear. So how do you know if you're getting points for coming to class? I'm going to try to keep coming to class points separate from your discussion board points. So I created over live discussion points each week. So the first week it's kind of lumped together, but after that, each week has its own meeting date. It says it's at 0 points because a lot of students rely on Blackboard percentages, which can be misleading. The percentage that things show. So if I say that this is out of 10 points and also that the discussion board is out of 20 points, it seems like there's 30 points to go around, and when you only get 20 points total, it seems like you haven't done all the work. But the goal each week is to earn a total of 20 points. And so if I say let's say you do your first discussion board post for each, for 2 different forums, and then you come to class on Wednesday. Your grade book will say that you got 10 out of 20 points on your discussions, or really 5 out of 10 and 5 out of 10. And then it'll say that you got 10 out of 0 on this module 2A, which is your live attendance. So it adds up to 20 points out of 20 points. But it's going to look a little weird. If you ever have concerns that it's not right, feel free to email me. Again, screenshots really help that speed up. And keep in mind, especially if you don't include a screenshot, but even if you do, things like questions about grades often don't get as fast of a response because I have to wait until I can sit at my computer and really look at what's going on. And there are going to be times that every chance I get to sit at my computer, I'm going to have, fires to put out this semester. So the easier you make it for me to answer on my phone, the faster you're going to get a response. I've realized I need to add something to more clearly explain what I expect in your posts. Normally I have that in my other syllabi, but I don't have it here. But in general, the first post I'm going to expect to be 150 to 300 words, somewhere in that range. So if we go look at the discussion board, for now, I don't have any particular requirements about citing the book, but if I notice that a lot of people are kind of just sharing their opinion and it doesn't seem like they've read and considered things from the book, then I might start adding, I might adjust the descriptions of the forums to be more specific. But typically I want a first post to be at 150 to 300 words, maybe even a little more. And then later posts, I want to be at least 50 to 100 words, maybe a little more. Again, I'll kind of see how things go, and then I may add clarifiers of what I expect. Most of these, so the first one, you're going to do an introduction. Let me show you how to insert a photo, because I say that I'll show you how to do that. So here, type. Now, if I want to insert a photo, there's a couple ways I can do it. One is I can hit an attachment, but it just goes at the end. It's just a file. So I have no idea what these are. So if I attach it like that, people have to click that. It's okay, it works, but it's a little clunky. But if I hit, let me do that again so you can see it. It's right next to the little paper clip. I can attach a photo. So now I will, I think, grab the same photo. Now this photo is going to pull in giant. So if I come here and I usually do like 100 or 150. And if you click constrain proportions, that'll make sure that you don't like garble the size. And I hit insert. And normally I do put it, oh, that's my kiddo on his first birthday. So that's a little small. I can click image. Appearance, I want to do, let's do 300 and see how that comes up. That's good. I might do closer to 500 actually. That was at the very end of cake and all that on his first birthday. He was very over it all. But attaching a photo that way really does make things a lot easier for everyone else to see them. And we're going to do a lot of photos, so that makes things nice. So you'll do a photo for your introduction, but then also each week there's a more informal check-in where you kind of just talk about in general. I imagine it's sort of like, if you, not every class chats a lot at the beginning of class, but if you are chatting with the people around you before class starts, that's kind of how I imagine this. Or if you would say, hey, like, what are you doing for such and such project? Or how did that go for you? Or it took me way too long and someone else says, oh, like if you go here, it does this for you. So that's really what I mean for this to be. I mean this to be kind of the informal, you get points for doing it. You will, don't blow these off because you'll lose points. And then I also have, this is kind of just a more informal, here's something that made me think of the class this week. It could be a photo of, like, that's your photo. It could also be like a meme or a photo from a news story. I'm pretty open, or it could be, you could have taken a photo of like an ad or something. So each week, or not each week, each module, which is every other week, you'll do this post that's kind of a check-in, and then a photo of the week, and give 1 or 2 sentences explaining how the photo relates, kind of why you chose this photo, how it fits with what we're talking about in class. And so pretty much each week there's 2 discussion questions of some sort. They typically relate to the readings. There's also one near the end that's really important because it's where I ask you, what do you want us to still cover? If there's something you're really excited about, I recommend letting me know earlier than this, because this gives me it's kind of just enough time to throw together a week, week and a half's worth of content based on what people are interested in. And there's a little bit over here. So that's participation. You do two posts each week on Monday, and then you can either follow up to, it's really, after that, it's interaction. So it's following up on your peers' posts within Blackboard or interacting in class. And it's helpful to skim through your peers' posts before you come to class. But the other thought is that having these posts in the world will make it a little easier and faster for you. It'll help discussion go once we get to class, because everyone's already said something. You've already thought about it and kind of committed to a couple ideas that you found interesting. And hopefully a few people will have looked through and found interesting things that their peers have written too. So I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous about how to do this kind of grading in two different spaces and how to keep it clear what's going on. But I'm going to work really hard to keep it reasonably clear. It will not be, I usually try to make information really, really easy for students to access. That's probably not going to be the case this semester. You're going to have to work a little bit just because Blackboard just won't do what I want. There's just no good way for me to do what I want it to do. I'm probably going to rearrange the way the grades come in to make it by due date. And partly that should help because it should get these live discussion points. It should get them right next to the discussion board. So you can see your total for the week pretty easily, even though it's going to be in three different assignments really, because each discussion board thread or forum is a different grade. And then last but not least, remote meeting schedule. This is a reminder of what day we're meeting. It should be pretty straightforward. Right now it's just a plan every Wednesday. But if things do change with my schedule and I have to alternate Mondays and Wednesdays, this will be where you see. I also, what worked really well last semester is I made a group for everyone's email from class, and then I would go into Google Calendar and create an invite with that group. So I would manage class, kind of letting people know when we're meeting for class. I had some groups that would meet every day, other groups that wanted to meet once a week. So I would let people know when we were meeting for class, and I would include the link in there. And that seemed to work pretty well. Friendly reminder, I think I mentioned this in one of the earlier videos, but if you're ever wanting to come to class and having trouble getting in, I will not be checking my email because I cannot be present in class and also be monitoring my email. I just cannot multitask in that way. I could lurk in class and check my email, but I'm typically not a lurker in class. I am very actively managing things, and that's about all I can handle. But I will work really hard to have my phone next to me and the ringer on. So if you call my office number, which is in several places, including at the tippy top of the syllabus, and then I usually include it in the notes for the email invites. So if you call my office phone, that should come through. I'll pick up, and you can tell, and then we can troubleshoot from there. Because then I can tell the class, okay, I'm going to help someone troubleshoot. I'm going to mute. You guys keep doing you. So make sure if you're having trouble getting in, and an email is not going to get noticed. It's just not. Even a Google Chat, very unlikely that I'm going to be checking my messages because I get a lot of Google Chats that are just from friends. What else? The other piece, if there's ever a day that I have a last minute emergency and I can't attend, there's two options. Everyone could just do the discussion board follow-ups instead, and I would probably give a few extra days on that because you may not have planned to do that, whatever. But the other option is if at least two people want to meet anyway, you can just record your meeting and email me, kind of then invite me to share in your recording. It won't automatically go to me if I wasn't in the meeting, but you are welcome to meet without me. This is not a absolute conclusive list, but it is kind of the rough ideas of what we're going to be discussing, kind of what the plan is for each semester, or for each class meeting. All right, I think that's it. So participation, it's almost a quarter of your grade. I'm going to try really hard to, dropping the 3 lowest grades is going to be particularly difficult because you're being graded in 2 different places. I guess I could just drop the lowest 3 Blackboard ones, maybe. That's probably reasonable. So maybe I can do that. Or discussion board ones. But I'm not sure that I'll be able, so the 3 lowest are going to get dropped at the very end of the semester, which will mean that that percentage is going to be a little bit off until then. And if I can't get Blackboard to do it, I will do it manually in Excel at the end of the course. I know students always freak out when their grades aren't precisely accurate in Blackboard, but Blackboard is just a tool, and it's a limited tool, and there's only so much I can do about it. So keep in mind, I'm going to, and if I drop them earlier on, it inflates your grade. It makes you think you have a higher grade than you really have. So I typically drop all things right at the end. The last thing for video chats, if you just show up and lurk and say nothing audibly or in the chat, if it's the first time it's happened, I would probably give you all or most of the points. I might send you an email just checking in on you and also letting you know that that's not going to earn points in the future. And I know that you certainly can get a lot from watching and not interacting. And if you want to do that, if you say, I really like watching the classes, but, I would rather, if I can't get points that way, I'm going to just do, I'll watch and then I'll do the Blackboard. That's fine. But I need to see some engagement, and I might, as time goes, if I feel like I need to define what that is a little more, I will. And for the spring, some of my classes, I didn't really, I felt like there was still pretty good engagement overall, and I didn't think that I needed to define that. I had other classes that needed a little more structure. I needed to give them specific, like, okay, I need you to make at least this many voice contributions or this many text contributions. And so while they were talking, I was like keeping track in an Excel sheet, which was not my favorite, but I'm also okay with that as a thing that needs to happen sometimes. If you have any other questions about participation, let me know. This is the longest I've ever had to discuss participation. Goodness. But I want things to be clear. And this is, I have it set up this way for a couple reasons. One is I want to make sure that the course does stay interactive. It's very easy to just kind of slip off into the unknown when there's not those expectations for participation. But also I wanted to give you points just for engaging in the material. And you'll notice there are no quizzes, there are no tests. So the discussion boards are also where I have you kind of committed to interacting and really reflecting, applying information from the textbook. And I'm not grading these terribly harshly for content. I may add more sort of requirements, more clarification of what I'm looking for if I'm getting a lot of unsatisfactory answers. But for the most part, I'm really just looking to see some evidence that you've read and thought about the material. And that you are able to, at least, even if it's a bit clumsy, that you're able to apply it to real-world situations. Right. And I mentioned this a few times in, I'll say modest bonus. So typically, if you respond to more than 2 peers, I'll often throw a bonus point, up to 3 or 4 bonus points maybe, for each extra response you do that's meaningful. Or if you do a really, really meaningful post or response, I might add some bonus. And I think I'll probably do the same where if you come to class and are engaged and you also do discussion board, I'll give, not double credit, but I'll give some credit for the discussion board as well, for those responses. So if you miss more than your 3 weeks, which is a good bit to completely miss, but if you miss more than that, there are some ways to kind of make up a little extra credit. And if you know something's going to make it really hard for you to participate in the class at all, for especially more than 1 week, It really, really helps me if you let me know. I care about each of you, and I worry about you when you disappear. And I also care, I care that people are able to stay in this course and stay successful. So I am going to spend a decent chunk of time just kind of checking my records and seeing who's missing and trying to track you down. So one piece is it helps me kind of account for what's going on with you. You don't have to answer to me, and you don't have to disclose anything that you don't want to disclose, but I do care about you, and it helps me in a couple ways. I can help you connect with resources on campus, potentially. I can also, I can help you figure out how to still be successful in the class. It's much easier to adjust due dates if you tell me ahead of time instead of before, or ahead of time instead of after. I can also help you prioritize. Like I can say, okay, you know, here's a really small assignment. Do you think you can do this one? And then maybe we can, you know, let the other one slide. Or, okay, this assignment is really not worth very much. Why don't you just skip, you know, you've got a lot going on. Just skip these two and focus on this big one. Things like that. So that's participation. Thanks. Bye-bye.